Hello, everyone. This is Rebecca Greene for the Whiny Palooza podcast, and I am over the moon excited because I get to talk to the fabulous Marcella today. Marcella, thank you so much for doing this with me today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Wait until I tell you about this fabulous lady. She is a seasoned tarot reader and spiritual guide with over 35 years of experience helping people find clarity, empowerment, and direction in their lives. Known for her authentic, no nonsense approach, Marcella possesses a unique ability to communicate with spirits and deliver readings that cut through confusion, even in the most challenging circumstances. Her work goes beyond simple fortune telling. She provides honest spiritual guidance designed to help clients take control of their lives and fulfill their potential. Marcella also creates handcrafted spell jars that I can't wait to hear about, including self love, money, protection, return to sender, and love attraction spells, using organic materials and traditional botanicals, blending her deep knowledge of energy work with practical tools for transformation. Whether through tarot, spirit communication, custom spell jars, or prosperity rituals, Marcella's mission is clear. Give people the tools they need to transform their lives, but they have to be willing to do the work. So now everybody knows why I'm so over the moon excited to talk to you today. I also got to talk to her yesterday, which you're going to hear about too. But let's start at the beginning and tell us what drew you to doing tarot readings. Tell us how it all began.
So I, what I like when people say, "How long have you been psychic?" And I look at them and I say, "Birth."
I love when you say that. That's amazing.
Well, I I've always I've always just known things about people. I've had visions. I speak to spirits. I've been speaking to them since my earliest memory is 3 years old.
It's amazing.
And I was told, "Oh, you're so cute. You have an imaginary friend." So I didn't know that they were real for a while. And then I always jokingly tell people I'm like Whoopi from Ghost, except I don't just hear them, I can see them.
Crazy.
And it's
Amazing.
just been my whole life, yeah. But I picked up a tarot deck when I was 15.
Okay.
Someone gave me one and that was it. I started to learn about it. Um, however, I know that no matter how long I've been reading, there's always still so much to learn. It's just so people say, well, how long have you been reading? I've been reading almost 40 years. This December will make 40 years.
Wow. So
And
this introduction is behind because it said 35. So we're behind
over
over here.
35, yeah. That's
Wow.
all right. Um, it's it's just been a love of mine. I always have a deck right in my hand.
Oh my gosh. I think it's like the coolest thing ever. So you talked about communicating with spirits. Can you tell us like what is that experience like? Like describe it to us. I'm trying to, you know, picture it.
Well, so just so I don't know if I on the phone I'm great. Face to face I'm a little shy. Um, it's like having a person just come up to you and you're speaking to them, except that no one else can see them. And then I always get looks, and there's a woman who lives in my neighborhood who sees them as well. And she sits on the bus and she talks to them. And I can see them, but I never make contact. I always put my head down because I don't want them to talk to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if you want them to talk to you, do you look at them?
I let them know that I can see them.
So are you talking to them out loud or are you talking to them in your head?
No, out loud.
Out loud, you're saying things to them.
Yes.
It's so cool. I got to
When I was a
experience this.
kid, the Walkman was helpful.
Okay. Because I would imagine it could get overwhelming.
It does. And it I used the Walkman and people would say, "What are you doing?" And I would say, "Oh, I'm reciting a book, or I'm listening to a lesson, or I would make something up,
Mm.
and Yeah,
Can you tell, like, is it constant? Like, can you tell them not right now?
I do all the time. I told you yesterday I have a little girl. Well, she's not so little anymore. She's 13. And sometimes I'll be speaking to her and they're giving me parenting advice. And then I just say, okay, you know what? No, you need to go. My daughters laugh. They laugh when I'll be sitting here working and then all of a sudden I'll say, not now. And they turn around and they say, I'm not talking to you. And they go, oh,
That is
yeah.
unbelievable. Have you gotten, I mean, this is such a obvious question. Have you gotten really good advice for yourself? Like in
From them.
general, like in life, like in situations? Have you gotten messages? Is it always for someone else or is it sometimes for you?
It's sometimes for me. Um, I I have this thing, so the lights behind me, the aurora borealis. I always tell people that's kind of what I see when I get warnings, except that it's flashing red lights, and I equate that to Spider-Man, the Spider-Man show and the cartoon. And so when someone is coming at me, if my spirits are not trying to stand in front of me to block them, I start to get those red lights, and then I go, oh my God, my spidey senses are tingling, something is going on, and then someone will speak to me and then I say, oh, that's the warning. That person is not someone I need to talk to.
Oh my gosh. This is like, I think this is the coolest thing. So yesterday when you were talking to me, people were coming through. They knew you were talking to me and they had
Oh
messages
yeah.
for me. So that's how it works.
Yeah. There's one of them is still with you, Muriel.
Yeah.
She's still there. I think she just likes you because she's still there. The other one, I don't remember her name,
Dorothy.
but she's gone. Dorothy, you're right. You're right.
Dorothy.
I forget because there's so many, but Muriel is there, and so is Fal Falso. I don't know what his name is, but that's what he's saying. Falsom or Falso or Fal. I don't know. It's something, and eventually it'll come through. But yeah, that's how it starts.
So is it just people hanging around me? Is it spiritual guides or we don't know?
So for the most part, it's your spirit team. That's
Okay.
someone, and
Oh,
I want everyone to know that I I see, I don't see everything. Sometimes they won't allow me to see them. They'll send messages and I can hear them, or they'll move things. So, for example, I was cooking the other night and I kept closing the cabinets and they kept opening up. And I said, will you please stop? That's distracting. And my daughter says, oh, they're bothering her. But there are times I don't see them, and I will see them do things. I have so many stories that I could share with you. You just let me know.
oh my God. Well, I mean, as I'm asking you questions, I want you to share whatever you want to share because this is like beyond fascinating.
Well, I have a semi-recent story where I I finished a container of milk and I made sure it was empty, and then I screwed the cap on, and I always screw it on tight. And I could hear from the other room the thing, it was tapping on the counter. So I go back and I look and I see a spirit going like this. And I said, what are you doing? I can see you. What are you doing? So I called my daughter over and I said, come over here and tell me what you see. And by that point, he already loosened the cap and was trying to flick it off. So she couldn't see him, but she could see the cap. And she says, the milk container, the cap is moving. I said, do you see him though? And she's like, I just see the cap. And I said, okay, you know, like I want them to see what I see so that they'll feel more comfortable when it happens.
Yeah, yeah. They're probably so used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I experienced this yesterday. You have a no nonsense approach, which I appreciate. Why do you think being direct and honest is so important?
I don't, well, partially because I'm an adult with autism. So occasionally things don't get filtered out, you know,
That's good.
they just come through.
Yeah.
Um, which which I've had to learn as a mom. Um, I've had to learn that it's not just about me. And having children with autism, I have one with Asperger's, two with Asperger's, and then my
Mm,
little girl was diagnosed full autistic. And just here, like my son, he's 36 years old, and there are times when I'll reach out and I say, "Hi, how are you doing?" "Fine." And then I wait because like you'll call a friend and, "Hey, how are you?" "Oh, I'm good. How are you doing?" No, it's just fine. And then I say, "Oh God, do I sound like that?"
yeah,
So I feel that being no nonsense with people is more beneficial to them. They get the real me, first of
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Then they get the reading that they're supposed to get. I have a client who calls and will say, "No, shuffle it again." And I go, Okay, here we go. I'm shuffling again." And you're still getting the same response. Just because you want something different doesn't mean you're going to get that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And I think we're not going to grow and change if we don't hear the real, true message, right?
yes, yes.
I mean, I wanted you to be honest. I told you that yesterday because sometimes it's not easy to say what you have to say, right?
It's a challenge.
I bet. I bet. It's like, how can I delicately tell them this? So, what's the most common misconception that you think people have about tarot readings or working with a psychic?
Well, I already told you one where people ask me how long I've been psychic. And with my students, I have to explain to them everyone is born with a sixth sense, but not everyone utilizes it. Not everyone knows how to, and not everyone can utilize it the way others can.
Mm,
So it's not that we're any different. We're all really the same as human beings. However, some of us have better skills. Some of us can be carpenters, and some of us can be mathematicians. And then so because she just said it again. Thank you, Muriel. Yeah, and then some of us can be
wow.
bakers. Yeah, so the whole thing is that's a misconception. And so I get people saying to me, if I say, "Okay, how are you? What's your name?" "Oh, don't you know my name?" And then that's usually my response. And
Oh
I say,
God.
"No, I don't. My spirits haven't told me." I have had people come up to me and I'll just say, "Hey," and I'll say their name, like, "Hey, Jack," or "Hey, Mary." And then they look at me and, "How did you know?" And I don't even realize I've said it. So it's different in every situation.
So tell them how it works because a lot of people don't know anything about tarot readings. Can you tell them a little bit about how this process works?
Sure, sure. So tarot has been around for centuries, and it was originally used by members of the church and other powerful groups to decipher messages, or
Mm,
they would pull a card to say, "Oh, well, this is what's happening with you." For example, I just pulled the Sun card, which means that there's going to be a lot of clarity and perspective coming with this meeting today, and as well as happiness and fulfillment. That the Sun card is all about winning in the best ways, knowing what's happening. And each one has a message. Now they're not just tarot. There's oracle. Oracle, I feel, are messages, and each one just has a specific meaning, where tarot cards can be interpreted differently. And it also depends on the other cards in the reading. So you can get Sun and, okay, let's take these two. So Sun and Ace of Cups. And Ace of Cups with the Sun can mean um, a new beginning in business or a hobby, but it can be that you maybe you learned something recently. And with the Ace of Cups, it's, oh, hey, this is gonna bring you so much happiness. And Ace of Cups means it's gonna bring you so much joy. And together they're just they create a different meaning. Like separately, okay, this is clarity, this means you're going to win. This can mean a new child, this can mean a new love interest, but it can mean a new outlet for your creativity. So there's so many together. I think this means something that you're going to really enjoy doing, but something that you're going to learn quite a bit about or from. So,
So cool. So you're picking the cards for people, and here's where I'm understanding better. So each card has a meaning, and when you pull a few cards, they read differently depending on what they're with and who they're for.
yes. Now, I have to tell you, I enjoy tarot so much because I find decks that are beautiful. I mean, for example, this is the Hermit, and the Hermit is Virgo energy. So when it comes, oh, it's also the number nine in the major arcana. So when I get this, I have so many different meanings to it. It's like, okay, number nine is ending. So it's an end of a situation. But the hermit is someone who is very introspective and listens to that voice in the inside, and so it, it's a different meaning there. However, if I paired it with something else, um, it would mean something totally different. So I love tarot, and I love the fact that it's been around so long, but I don't need the tarot deck
You
to read
don't.
people.
You
I don't.
don't.
No, no, I don't. Part of the reason I do is because people love a visual. So here's the Empress. And this is a different deck than the one I used for you yesterday. That one I think is probably in my bedroom, but I grabbed one this morning. Here it is. The Empress often symbolizes grounded energy. She's number three, and three, no, two. She's number two, and two is about connectivity and joining together and preparations. And the Empress also symbolizes motherhood. So there's a lot there. So when we add them all together, they mean something. I don't need them. I've had I have fibromyalgia,
Mm,
and when I read a person, it can be draining.
mm.
And having the tarot is better for me because what it does is it'll help me disperse a lot of the energy I'm receiving. And I still have a challenge doing that. Even after 40 years, I have a challenge with taking the energy out of me and putting it somewhere else. And not everyone's like it. There are readers, there are amazing readers who can, just walk by you and know things and without a deck and not feel anything. I have a goddaughter who just knows things, and she'll say something to me and I'm like, how did you know that? And she says, I don't know, it just comes to me. And I always tell her, you are one of the most amazing readers. I have another one who reads palms.
Oh,
And she's
that's
always
so
telling me,
cool.
yes. Oh yeah, she's pretty amazing. She always tells me you have to learn. And I say, I don't want to touch anybody.
Okay.
If I touch someone, I get so much information, and a lot of times it's not good. So
Oh,
yeah, see, when I met Adrian has this beautiful energy.
Adrian's
Our
my
friend Adrian.
producer. Yeah.
She's amazing, and she's got this loving energy. So
Yes.
touching her, I could feel really good things. And there's other things that are hidden there that I won't talk about. However, I'm not always that lucky. I'll touch someone and sometimes I see the bad things they've done, or
Oh,
sometimes I see the bad things they've gone through. And so even though I know that palmistry would probably be a lot of fun, and and even by looking at someone's palm, even now I can say, oh, I see this, but a lot of times we have to be able to touch, and I'm like, no, thank you.
I
I'm good.
understand. I
Yeah.
understand. So do you prefer tarot or not tarot when you're reading someone, or does that just depend on the person?
It really depends on the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I didn't know what to expect yesterday. So I was like,
Um,
let's see how this goes.
that was fun though. I think that was a lot of fun.
It was so fun. And I got to see how you did it to help me today. I think that was amazing.
Okay.
Okay, so you emphasize that transformation requires work from the client. What does that work typically look like?
Okay. Well, I do take clients on, not just to read them, but to assist them with shadow work. And shadow work is just going inside of you and finding things that maybe you've kept hidden or that you don't want to talk about. I always tell people your body is like a house,
Mm,
and every part of your body is a different room. So the mind is your attic. And because it hides things and we don't always know, on the surface, it's just you've got this, this skin and this skull and the brain inside. But up here is where you hold all of the information about you and the memories. And sometimes the memories you don't remember. So shadow work helps to go up into the attic. And I always say when we do this, I'm going to go with a torch or a flashlight, a lantern, whatever you decide to envision. And we're going to go up there. And instead of going through the boxes that are there, I want to go to the corner and see what's been put away.
Mm.
And a lot of people don't want to do that at first. So I'll work with them and we do different things. So sometimes I will get a person who's not ready. And I do tell them, if you're working with a therapist, stay with the therapist. I can help you in conjunction with the therapy. However, you have got to be open-minded about this. I cannot go in, I can't fix you. My daughters laugh because I always say, what did you want me to do? Grab my magic wand and
Yes.
ta-da, you're fixed. Yeah,
Yes.
can't do that. Or my favorite thing, I cannot just sprinkle my magical pixie dust and
Darn it.
and make you fly. And that's why I have other things that I do. I know that she mentioned the jars.
Yes, I want to hear
Yeah,
about the
so
jars.
so the jars are fun because I teach people how to do them. And what we're working on now, my daughters and I, is making a package filled with the jars and all the ingredients so that I can go live and you have your package and I open it up and say, okay, first you grab the jar. Then you grab the incense and you clean out the jar. And we go step by step. So I always start with, the little jar and I say, okay, it's open. Like you put the incense in it, let's get all that energy out. And then I tell them, okay, so get the first ingredient and I will number the bags. One, this is what you're going to put in first. And then we just start to fill. And it's been a lot of fun so far. We haven't sent anyone packages. We've given people the instruction. This is what you're going to need. If you don't have it, if you not just pay for the class, if you pay a different level, you will get me on camera making your jar.
Wow.
So yeah, so I can either do that in a group or I can do it separately. I can show you a couple.
I would love to
This is
see.
that's a money jar.
Oh.
So we do this. I love doing the money jars for people because we go on camera and if it's a group, I tell them, okay, I'm making one. I'm making one. It's just a money jar. So it's like a luck jar, like having a rabbit's foot.
Mm.
So let's not kill the rabbit. Let's take the herbs. And so we start to fill it. And in between filling it, I'll explain to them why I'm putting certain things in. Like rice is for abundance because rice comes in. You can't just eat one rice. You can't buy one rice. You
No.
can't eat one rice, one grain. And cloves, same thing. It comes in bulk. So you can't just use one clove. I mean, I guess you could, but that would be silly. So we also add rosemary, which is for control. So we want to keep control of our finances. And then some other things. I also put crystals in there. Let me see if you can see anything. There's a petition in there, a parchment. Yeah, right over here
Yeah,
are some of
that's,
the crystals. Yeah.
yeah,
And the crystals help to attract money. We also own a crystal shop. My daughter owns a crystal shop.
I love
So
it.
yeah, and then I've got the self-love jar, which is one of my other favorites to do. Self-love is all about putting a petition in there for you. Now, if I just make random jars and I can just sell them anywhere, this still says, I love me unconditionally. I only
Mm.
attract beautiful things for me and to me. If you wanted to get on a call with me and have your name in the jar, then it's now it's personalized to you. So it's different and it's fun.
And
Yeah.
can we, so we can purchase the jars from you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll get all
Yeah.
that info at the end because
Yeah.
I want to buy some. Okay. So is there a memorable reading that stands out to you? It's okay if there is one that doesn't, that
Um,
you felt really helped someone.
there's so many. There's so
Yeah.
many. I mean, like they're all like I even have spirits telling me, remember this and remember that one. I can tell you a couple. I had one where a woman came to me that some people wanted me to prove who I was. And I tell people I don't have to prove anything. If you don't believe, that's okay. It is
Yeah.
really okay. I'm not here to convince you. But I entertained it. She wanted to pay me and she says, I'm going to send you this money and I would like a private reading. And she called me. And while we were talking, I was feeling something here,
Mm.
flutters. And I said, I don't know what that is, but it's really uncomfortable. It felt like I had a bug in my throat and with wings and it was moving around like a butterfly or a ladybug, the way they flutter. And I said to her, what's going on? And she says, nothing. I got a clean bill of health from my doctor. And I don't know why I said it. I said, why are you lying to me? So there were a ton of spirits here and they were saying things. And she says, I don't know anybody by that name. None of those people are familiar. And funny that this came up this morning in a conversation with Adrian, but this beam of light shines in my living room while I'm speaking to her. And I said, hold on, I am getting a message. And this is really unusual. Oh my God, my hand went up and I saw the little round thing. It was gonna, anyway. So I see this light and I said, this is unusual, but not completely rare. It's happened before. And I hear a woman's voice, but it's like it's coming through radio static. And she says, who is it? And I said, I don't know. So I said, ma'am, I can tell it's a lady. I said, will you please tell me your name? She says her name and she's telling me to tell my client, tell her that this is who I am. And when I mean, I could just tell you because I was given permission to talk about it. The woman says, it's Eleanor. Tell her it's Eleanor. And I said, she says her name is Eleanor. And the woman was blown away. She said, oh my God, shut up. That's my grandmother's name. She's been
Oh,
gone for 5 years.
oh.
And she says, ask her this. And when I turned again, the light was gone. Now, in my experience, that happens because the spirit is already at peace
Mm.
and they can't come back. And she didn't want to send someone. So she found a way to come and communicate. And that light, I believe, is the light of the divine. It's the universe. And I'm Catholic, so I believe that my visions and the messages come to me from the divine. And so we finish up the reading, we finish up the call, and I always cleanse after. I cleanse before, I cleanse after, make sure that I have water, and sometimes blackberries helps. I don't know why blackberries, but it does. And I'm washing my hands, and I get a phone call from someone, and she says, hey, what did you do to this lady? And I said, I didn't do anything. I read her. She wanted a reading, and you guys wanted proof of who I am. So I read her. She says, well, she says that you channeled her grandma and that you called her out in a heart condition. And it was like the light bulb went on. And I said, that's what that was. I had never felt that before. I said, I knew that she was lying to me. She told me she was healthy.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so I convinced her, and I'm hoping that we really haven't had much communication after. So I'm hoping that it was helpful to her. I
Mm.
feel that it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the kind of it doesn't always happen that way. I have another very brief story where a young woman just wanted to hear that she was going to get the person she wanted. And I was just at the point where I said, I can't keep shuffling. You're running out of time. She goes, I'll pay you for the next half hour. And she did. She cashed at me the money. And I'm still
Wow.
sitting here going, Lord, I said, honey, I cannot tell you what you want to hear. I can only tell you what they're telling me to tell you. And while I'm face to face with her on the Zoom call, this person walks in and I look up and I said, hi. He says, hi, I'm Andre. And I said, hi, Andre. And then he turned around and left. And she says to me, what did you just say? I said, there was a spirit who came to talk. He said his name was Andre. And she goes, okay, okay. I'm gonna listen. And I said, what just happened? She says, my mother's best friend passed away last week, and his name was Andre. I said, okay. She says, and he used to tell me, girl, you need to listen. So she felt
Oh,
that
I got
was
chills.
a direct message. Yeah. So, but this happens to us all of the time. So what I can say is that I can still be surprised. Oh, sorry. Okay. I can still be surprised. I
Mm.
like that I'm always surprised.
Mm.
I'm sometimes surprised by who comes through and why. And and then it doesn't surprise me because I'm surrounded all the time.
Yesterday, when I was talking to you, I was holding back saying something. I was just listening and I was waiting and I had something to say. And you said to me, I'm feeling something in my throat. You might want to say something soon. And I was like, oh, I was trying not to interrupt.
I felt like you were, I felt the words there. It was funny.
I
Yeah.
was like, I had something to say. And I was like, no, no, wait, listen to what she's saying. So I find that in my life, my friends will say, I really want to go to a psychic because, like, I'm giving you an example. I miss my mom so much and I want to talk to her. So you probably get that all the time. How do how does that go?
Okay, so I would like for everyone to understand that the ones who say, "Oh, I'm channeling your grandma, your grandpa, your mom, your dad, whoever," they're not always genuine. I'm not
Mm,
saying that that all of them are fake. That's not true. But I do see a lot of people who will say, "Oh, they love you so unconditionally and they want you to move on." That's just that's piecemeal information that they could have gotten from a post on social media, or it's full psychics are taught to read people's expressions.
mm,
And I have a challenge with I go to people to read me, and I have a challenge with that because they'll be watching my face.
mm.
And I always like to give a new person an opportunity. I met someone last year around this time, and she was sitting at a fair and no one was going to her table. And I said, I'm just going to go and do a blessing for her. And so I paid her and I said, hey, I would love a reading. So she's watching my face and she's putting the cards out and she's looking and I'm going, mm-hmm. And then she read one of the cards incorrectly. And I said, oh, I think you meant this. And she looked at me, she says, are you a reader? And I said, I am. And she says, why did you come to my table? And I said, I didn't see anybody here. And I thought that if I came, other people would come.
Oh,
And then she wasn't angry. She was embarrassed. And I said, you shouldn't be. I said, how long have you been reading? A couple of years. And she says, what about you? And I said, 38, 39, almost 30. Yeah, almost 38
oh my gosh.
or 39. And she says, and so when someone comes and says, and I get this a lot in groups, can you channel my grandma? I always tell them, your grandma doesn't even want to talk to you. Okay? Your grandma is at peace. Leave her alone. What you want to do is you want me to prove who I am, and I
Yeah.
have nothing to prove. So, and I also tell them, whoever comes through, comes through. I had a woman who was trying to get her mom to come through for so long, and I finally got the message, leave me alone. She wanted to be at peace and she wanted this woman to live her life.
Yeah.
And I said to her, you're not going to like what I have to say to you. You're not going to like the message. And I feel that after all this time, I just have to tell you, she does not want to be bothered. She wants to rest in peace. And you calling her back is not allowing her to feel at peace. But that doesn't mean that it always happens. Sometimes there are spirits who want to come through and they'll have a specific message. And if I'm able to convey that, I feel so good. What I don't do, and I mentioned Whoopi Goldberg, I mentioned Ghost, and how she allowed the spirits to mount her, take over her body. It's called mounting. I am not allowed to be mounted. I have specific spirits that protect me so that another spirit or another entity cannot control me.
That's good.
So I am not going to sit here and speak in your grandma's voice and tell you where I hid my fortune under the floorboards, or it just doesn't happen. So
I think more what I see is people feel that they have unfinished business with whoever has passed away. So they're looking to, have peace for themselves.
you, it's 100% right.
Yeah.
I know people who have lost children and then they say they died too young. Yes. Yes. In our perspective and the way that life should be lived, children who pass die too young. However, they went when they were supposed to go. And it
Yeah.
was supposed to be a lesson for their family in some way. Not, it doesn't have to be a good one. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad one, but there was something that they were supposed to learn from this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know that there's people listening. You know me, I am not skeptical. I believe in this stuff. But to the people who are skeptical, can you give them a helpful message?
You don't have to believe anything I say.
Yeah.
I always want people to believe in themselves and whatever. I have a lot of friends from different religions. I have Buddhist friends, I have Muslim friends, and my Muslim friends always tell me, I'm not allowed to talk to you about these things because of my religion. And I say, I think that your religion is beautiful. I think every religion has beautiful aspects. And then there's some stuff that we can just like not accept. And I think what I always tell people is take what you need from this and leave everything else behind. Sometimes I do get lots of messages from spirit at once and they try to say something. But if you're a non-believer, it is okay. I'm not here to convince you. What I'm here to do is hopefully be a voice for people who want the help, who want to reach out and say, hey, maybe they need a money jar. And like I said, and it's a luck jar. I have to tell you, my daughter made one, my 13-year-old made one in June. And the day after that, all I said was, she graduated this week, so now we're just planning our summer. And someone says, I'm cash apping you some money for her. And I said, oh, you don't have to do that. And she says, no, 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 I wanted it to be a gift. Now I'm not going to ask for gifts for my child. And these are just a group of friends. We just chat every day. And then after that, other people started reaching out and said, I just realized she graduated and I wanted to send her something. And I always say,
Oh,
send a card, send a card. She'd like the card. And then we're getting cash, we're getting Cash App gifts, we're getting PayPal. And so she'll go into her room and she's got the jar and and I said, what are you
that's
doing? She says,
amazing.
manifesting more money. And but it's other things. The love jars. I remember making one for someone. And she said when she received it, she started to cry.
Oh,
And I said, why were you crying? And she said, because I held it. And I know, this is a personal love jar. So there's, three different tiers of them. This one was personal. We did a reading beforehand and I was with her adding the ingredients. The ingredients are almost always 100% the same. It's how much I'm putting in,
mm.
the order in which I'm putting it in, and the energy that's coming from the person I'm creating the jar for. And she says, I felt all the love that I've been looking for in other people
Oh,
right
wow.
there, and it was for me.
Mm.
And I said, I'm really glad that you could do that for yourself, that we could do that for you.
It's beautiful. I think a lot of people are feeling stuck right now. And I know that you would be so helpful to them. Can you talk to the people feeling stuck right now?
Okay. I'm just listening because sometimes they'll have something to say. So there is a Roberta, Roberta, which is funny. That's one of my daughter's middle names. Roberta's here, and she is saying, "Oh, I love you. I love you." And what she's holding something, but I can't see what it is. It looks like a stuffed animal. I think it's a bunny, but it looks so old. And she's just saying, I love you. I don't know if that's going to resonate with anyone. It just happens.
Oh,
For anyone who feels hopeless, I have to tell you, I'm I'm turning 55 in December. And there was a time up until my early 30s when I I hated myself. I would look in the mirror and I didn't like what I saw.
oh,
And one day I just got tired of feeling that way. And I tell people, you know what? If you're feeling hopeless and you want to reach out for the help, I won't resonate with some people. That is perfectly okay. Maybe there's someone else out there to help you. But if you want the help, let's talk because I think I can help you at least get through that
mm,
feeling of not liking yourself.
mm.
And it takes a while. It does take a while. I'm lucky enough to be in a position now at this age where I can give back to my children. I have a 13-year-old child who is so self-aware. She was bullied for a long time because of her autism, and now she'll come and tell me, I know what they're trying to do. I know they're trying to gaslight me or manipulate me. And she says, I don't even entertain it. I just turn my head and I keep walking, or I put my head down and say, okay.
Mm.
And when we can get to that point where someone is saying something hurtful to us and we let it roll off our back, I think that's the expression, then that's the first step. And to even liking ourselves.
Yeah.
And like I said, for a long time I didn't. I mean, 30 some odd years of just not even liking this face,
Oh.
this person. And now I can look at myself, and my children and I joke around that sometimes men will approach me and tell me, "Oh, you're very pretty." And I always say thank you. And I keep it moving. But if they want more conversation, I always say, "Do you really think that I got to this age without knowing how pretty I am?" And I want everyone to get to that point. Give me a different kind of compliment. I always get your hair's lovely. They hear me speak. Oh, I like your voice. They hear me speaking on a podcast. You know what you said was beautiful. Good. Give me a different compliment. Don't just
Mm.
compliment my looks, because this is going
Yes.
to fade. So I
I
want everyone to get to that point.
I love that message, and I want to go back to the stuffed animal because it came to me, and I will talk to my friend when we're done. But
Okay.
we went to go visit her daughter at college, and she showed me, I believe it was a bunny that she had been
Oh,
looking for, that her mother found for her to bring to college for her, and she was so upset
okay.
she couldn't find it. So I think that's the bunny that you just saw.
I don't even know who Roberta is because she's not even here anymore.
Okay, I
She
will
just came
ask
and went.
her.
Yeah.
I'll ask her. You never know. She might know who Roberta is, but oh my goodness. And, I want everybody to know, like, you gave me so many great messages. I took a lot of notes and I
Okay.
have to go through it a few times because I think if I didn't take notes, like, it's hard to remember it all.
Yep.
I needed to write it down so that I could go back and look it over. So I'm excited to do that. I got to look it over again. But
Okay.
this was so wonderful. I had so many questions for you. Is there anything that you think is important that I didn't ask you?
I think I see. I told you I'm shy. And I mean, I'm getting messages. I'm getting a spirit come in, and they're saying things. They're talking to me about visiting the mountains. Don't know what that's about. It might be for someone who's listening. They're talking to me about a sled. Someone else is talking. So I don't know. I don't have any questions, but I guess if there was something else you wanted to ask, let's do that, because I'm just getting inundated with information right now.
So my son's roommate is from Colorado. So his
Mhm.
mom, the roommate's mom, was messaging me that I need to come out to Colorado.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
just laughing at what you're saying.
Yeah, and I don't
So
even know if they're all for you, so they might be for
none
someone
of
who's
the
listening.
messages,
Yeah,
might be, it might be for somebody who's listening right now. So, well, nobody's listening yet, so they're probably for
yeah.
me.
But it could be a future message for someone. I've actually had that. So I've done a couple
Wow.
of other podcasts, and then someone would reach out and say, I that resonated with me so much. I remember randomly saying the name Bertha, and then someone overheard the podcast and said to me, I knew a Bertha, and it was someone I had never met. So
Okay, so I do have a question because I got yelled at yesterday by my middle child. She's
okay.
like, "Why didn't you ask her about what college I'm going to go to?" And I'm like, "Ella, I don't think she can do that, but I will ask her."
Okay. What I can do is, sometimes it comes, sometimes like, so I don't know why this was in a conversation this week, and it just keeps coming up in conversation. Yale, right? Yale just keeps coming up in conversation, and I'm not sure why. However, what I do with people when they say, what college am I gonna go to? I always say, okay, I want you to make a list of the ones you want.
Yes.
And then I want you to circle them and put the number next to them. Then what we're going to do is we're going to weed them out, because sometimes I just don't know. Sometimes, I read a whole family last year, and different ages. There was a 16-year-old girl, and there was her sisters, her mom, and her dad. And the 16-year-old was completely blocked off. And her mother said to me, or not her mother, her older sister said to me, she doesn't know what she wants to do. I said, and that's perfectly okay. I gave her what
Mm-hmm.
I could. And at the same time, there was nothing for me to tell her. She hadn't even lived yet. And there are some teenagers who I can read.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
go through the list first.
Yeah.
And then I do a different kind of thing where, if I'm with a person, I'll like spin a coin. I have a coin that says yes or no on it, and then we'll ask the first one and then whatever comes up. And I'm about 95% accurate with that because they'll either change their mind or the college will be overcrowded and can't take them. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. And I also have to ask you, so my son is, I think he's a math genius personally. And you keep talking about Muriel talking about mathematics. So I'm just curious if you have anything from that because it's come up a few times.
Mm. So, and it's funny because I was told to shuffle. We got the Six of Pentacles, and Six of Pentacles is about giving and receiving. So the more he puts into it, the more he's going to get out. However, he's going to stress himself out. I'm seeing that. Um, it's like my daughter with calculus. I think she took
Yeah.
it 3 times,
Yeah.
and I told her,
He's
give up because you're never going to use it.
I mean,
So,
he's so good at math. He is I say like I said, I say he's a math genius, but I don't want him
well,
to
he's
stress
going
himself.
to. No, he's going to stress himself out, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
And then at some point he's going to realize that he doesn't have to do that. And the way that
Mm.
it's going to work out for him is pretty phenomenal. He's going to be at a point where everyone's going to come to him for math questions, whether it's for their budgeting or for a homework for their child. But right now, he's enjoying it. In a little while, he's not going to enjoy it so much. But you've got to tell him to take a step back and to be kind to himself when that happens.
Mm. Yeah. Yes. I think that my whole family needs to hear that. Oh my
I
goodness.
think one of your children's got this energy of everything's just going to be all right. Everything is just going to be all right. And then I've got another one who is meticulous about things. Just everything has to be perfect. It has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, my world is over. And then they find the humor in it. That's what I'm seeing. They find the humor in it, laugh at themselves, and then there's the next challenge that, okay, I tackled that because we're never actually stuck there forever. And I think that they're starting to realize that.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. I think you're incredible. You know that I think that
Thank
you're
you.
amazing. I mean, you can tell how gifted you are, and I love that you share that with people and help people. I think that's beautiful.
I had something funny to tell you. So I changed my name on Instagram last year. It was just Marcella and something else. And then someone said, talking to you is like having a party. And I said, that's me, Marcella Palooza. And I forgot to tell you that. So,
Love it. Well, you fit in this podcast, let
yeah,
me tell you.
thank you.
Well, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find the jars. Tell them all the things.
So you can find me on my website is Marcella, just marcella.com with 2 C's and 2 L's. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email there. Also, all my social media is private. I don't have business social media, but you can reach out to me at Marcella_Palooza, spelled Palooza. And well, we also have we also have, there's something here, something, I don't know what it is. It just started to tickle here. Someone is going to want to say something to me when they see this. They're going to reach out immediately because I'm sensing it here. Like they're not even gonna get through half the podcast before wanting to talk to me. And I'm
Oh,
gonna tell you what it's about because I'm getting it. It has to do with an illness, cancer, and I'm sensing under the arm somewhere. So
okay.
I don't know why, but it's traveling because I felt it here and it went up into my ear and then all the way down. I could feel it.
Okay.
So I had to stop and say that because it got stuck. See, it's gone. Um, So the other website is called La Petite Lune Crystals. We also have an Instagram, La Petite Lune Crystal Shop. My 13-year-old daughter started a crystal business when she was 8
Amazing.
because of the aurora borealis. She wants to go overseas and stand underneath it. So we sell crystals there, and she's starting a new business that'll be launched probably by the beginning of next year, and it's called Sun, Moon, and Mars. The sun for my adopted daughter Angelica, the moon for my daughter Luna, and then Mars because I do have friends that call me Mars. And it's going to incorporate just different things that we do together.
Well, I know that Adrian is going to listen to this, and I'm sure that the fabulous Adrian will put all of your socials with this in the show notes. So find Marcella. She's amazing. I can't tell you how special this was to get to talk to you
Thank
about all of
you.
this today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your
Thank you.
expertise. I loved this.
Me too. I enjoyed this so much. Thank you so much.
This is Rebecca Greene, and I want to remind everyone to spend every day laughing, learning, and loving. Thank you for tuning in to the Whiny Palooza podcast. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. While you are there, leave a review. I love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.